All right, guys, so on number 3 here, we're on lesson 19, collision detection. We had this long math equation that shows us when we get two things touching, two different sprites touching. And this is way too long and complicated. So when we move on to number 4, I showed you guys the new line of code, which is the isTouching code. So what we're going to do here is we see all of the variables have been initialized here. We see the velocities and the scales and everything. What we need to do is to check in our if block here in line 17 if the bunny is touching the dinner. So the isTouching block is right here. So we put that in the if block, and we have to change the sprite name to bunny, and the target is dinner. And then if that's true, then this stuff will happen. Now you'll see when we need something to stop, we change the velocity to 0. So the velocities up here were -3 and -3 and then +3. That was the two things moving towards each other. Once they are touching, which is line 17, everything halts to 0. That means they all stop moving. And that's what makes them stop. So when we run the program, boom, they stop, velocity is 0. That's the one that you're going to come back to when you make the sun stop in the other one that we talked about. So that's number 4. If we go to number 5, so number 5 is we need to know when the apple is touching the blender. Okay, and right now the blender is automatically just going already even before the apple touches it. So what we want to do is we need to look at the code that's making the blender shake. And if you look at line number 10 up here, that's the code that's causing the blender to shake. We want to put that inside an if statement, and then we want to put an isTouching. So we want apple is touching blender. Now we don't want that blender to start shaking until that happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our if statement right inside here. And we're going to put our isTouching code in the if block. So if apple is touching the target, which is the blender, then we want this action to happen so it goes inside the blender, or so inside the if statement. So when I run it, blender's not moving, boom. Now the apple's touching the blender and the blender is shaking. So that's how that works. Try that again. And notice, once the apple, we see the apple go behind the blender, and once it leaves the blender, it stops shaking because the apple is no longer touching the blender. And I haven't shown you guys how to make the apple disappear, so we're not going to worry about that. So this is the answer right here with our if state. And again, if I'm going too fast, guys, I am going to post this video because I'm recording it, and you'll be able to watch it again. All right, so this one here is all we want to do is I'm going to run the program, and you're going to see that line number 3 is a debug line. Okay, it's balloon.debug equals false. So when I run it, you don't see anything other than the tack and the balloon. But what happens is the balloon pops early, and we want to know why that happens. So we're going to switch line 3 from false to true. And what you're going to see is around the balloon now is this green rectangle. Let's go back to your normal C. The green rectangle tells us why the balloon is popping early, because when the tack touches the green rectangle, it pops. Okay, and we can adjust that, but we're not. Our job is not to adjust it for this one. The assignment is asking us to add a debug block code to show us where the tack sprite debug property is as well. So we're going to take this line of code, balloon.debug equals true, and we're going to add one underneath this tack code right here. So we want tack.debug equals true as well. So here's the debug code. And we want to type in tack, and we want to type in the word true here. And when I run the program, we can see the debug code is on both of them. It's showing the rectangle around each one. And we can see that when one rectangle touches the other, that's when the pop starts. That's all that is showing you. It's just to show you how we can debug the collisions and understand why it pops too early. So that's number 6. Number 7 is our practices. Now, here's where I'm going to show you how to make the sun stop, because some people are able to do this, but they can't make the sun stop. So what we want to do is we want the collision, we want the bunny to turn into happy bunny once the sun touches it. I don't know why I'd be happy. The sun's going to burn it. But right now, the sun's going behind the bunny. Nothing happens. So it's really easy, and I can see why. Here's my draw loop. The sun's velocity is 2. And we want the sun's velocity. I'm going to move the sun's velocity up here. And it still works. The sun still goes down. And I want to put my if statement inside the draw loop. So now, if the sun is touching the bunny is going to turn into bunny happy instead of bunny sad. So let's run it. Bunny sad, bunny sad, bunny sad, bunny happy. So we got part of it done. Now, because the sun's velocity is 2, once it's touching, we want the sun's velocity to go to what? 0, right? So we have to put a new sun's velocity code in here. So sprite.velocity, so we're going to change that to sun, is going to become 0. So it went from going 2 pixels per loop to 0 pixels per loop. And now when I run the program, the sun will stop. Right there. So now we have a happy bunny that has its ears burning by the sun, which is hundreds of millions of degrees. And it's happy about it. Awesome. And the circle colliders, this one's fairly straightforward, guys. We can see when we run the program that around the circles, around each coin, the collider shape is a rectangle, which looks like a square, Hassan. Because a rectangle is or a square is a rectangle. So what we want to do here is we want to change the shape of the collider detection around the circles. So what we do is we go up here to sprites and we go to set collider type. And we have coin 1 and we have coin 2. So I'm going to put coin 1 under here. And I'm going to put another one for coin 2 over here. And I'm going to change, actually, it tells me where to put it. I'm going to put it right underneath each one. And we change this to coin 1. And we change the shape from rectangle to circle. And this one we go to coin 2. And we change the collider shape from rectangle to circle. And that's it. And we hit run. And there it is. So now there's circles around them. Whoop, I don't know why I just did that. Run the program again. And there we go. That's it. And last but not least, the assessment. So this one here, we want, as soon as the rainbow gets close to the horse or touches the horse, we want it to turn into a unicorn. This one's pretty easy. I changed the speed of the rainbow to -2 instead of -5 just because I think it looks better when it goes slower. I want to add an if statement here. So I'm going to put if, and we want to know if the horse is touching the rainbow. So we want to go is touching. So if the horse is touching the rainbow, then we want the horse to turn into a unicorn. So horse.setAnimation equals horse, and we have to drag the set animation, another one, into the if statement. And now the horse will turn into the unicorn, and I have to select unicorn from my list, and that's it. So as soon as it gets close to the horse, turns into the unicorn. Okay. The set collider there is a rectangle around the unicorn and the horse, and it's kind of big, so that's why it turns into the unicorn right before it touches it. But that's all you want. That's all you need to do for this one. And that's it, guys. I told you 10 minutes is all it takes to get through all of these. Of course, I've done these a million times, so it's a lot easier for me. So if you need to rewatch this to see how these are done, then